Check 1, 2. All right, if you could do a check, Ben. For some reason, yours is muted. Hang on, do it now.
Testing.
Perfect. All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody to episode 3 here at Flynn's Let's Talk Gundam with Uberscosplay. Ben, the one, the only. We're going to be talking about some really nifty and cool things with Gundam. I won't give it all away straight at the beginning, but thank you so much for checking out the live stream. If you're on Instagram, or if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, we're so thankful for you being here. Flynn's is an arcade located in Margate, Florida, and we're open Tuesday through Sunday. And tomorrow we open at 5 o'clock with $10 Tuesdays, where it's unlimited play on the arcade machines all the entire time we're open, so be sure to join us for that. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, what we're actually going to do is we are going to, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. We are going to be recording or dumping the audio or taking out the audio and creating let's say a podcast off of it. I didn't tell Ben I was going to do this, but now I am. So now I'm going to actually take the audio content, pretty it up a little bit, and then with Senpai's help, syndicate it out. The podcast is going to be called Let's Talk Gundam, and we're just going to kind of start it with that. So if you are listening to this on our podcast or on our, podcast stream, by all means, we really appreciate it. And because we are actually dealing with things that are visual, like Gundam, and other kits and models, you may not be able to see everything. So be sure to check out the stream on our YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. All the information will be in the podcast description. You can easily look up Flynn's Gaming FL. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. But actually, before we get there, let Ben give a shout out for himself. This is Ben, Uberscosplay, so you can let the people know where to find you, questions and everything.
Hi guys, my name's Ben, aka Uberscosplay. If you're active in the South Florida anime convention scene, you've probably run into me. I'm usually the guy in the giant robot costumes, but I don't just do costumes. I also do props and other kinds of costume making, but I also do a lot of scale modeling as well, and that's what we're going to be talking with you guys about today.
And you can find Ben.
Yeah, you can find me on all kinds of you can find me on every social media as Uber's Cosplay, UBERS Cosplay. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Those are the primaries. You can follow me on there.
So if you guys have questions, we had some questions throughout our stream, and we usually go for about an hour or so. We'd like to keep it within an hour time frame. So for those of you here in IRL in real life watching, by all means, ask your questions on the streams.
Right.
We'll do our best to answer them. But if you are listening to this at a later time period, be sure to send in your comments through direct message, text, email, whatever the case may be, and we'll do our absolute best to get to you. So before we get into Gundam, we did it last week, and a lot of people enjoyed it, and I wanted to kind of repeat the same process. So on my way here, before I got here, I actually went by.
Ooh, what do we got this time?
by our Oriental Market, our local Oriental Market, and I just picked up a couple goodies. So I picked up what appears to be like a honey tea or something like that. Something
It's
to
like
drink. It's about
honey and pear lemon
honey
tea.
I try to pick things up that I really can't read the description for.
That's always a good bet.
So, and I mean, it doesn't have any sugar, so I'm kind of like, that's good too. It might not be sweet, but something different to drink.
It says Tropicana on there. I can read that.
Yeah, I can read in English. That's right. So we have our drinks for the evening. All right, here we go. No, that has sugar in it.
That's nice though.
It's really nice. It's actually like a honey.
Like a honey, but then you taste like the lemon and lime. Mm-hmm. That's good.
It's not like overly sweet. So I can't pronounce the name, but if you are watching whatever the name of this company, it's Tropicana. If you are watching Tropicana, we would appreciate the sponsorship.
Yeah, we'll tag you down below.
So we'll tag you on the. So okay, so I also got us. I found it says very cool. Has a picture of a child, I guess.
We're not eating the child, I hope.
And it looks like bugles, kind of.
Oh, okay.
It looks kind of bugly. If you want to show the camera, Ben.
Sure.
It looks kind of bugly. You guys can kind of see like the bugle-ish thing on the side. So that's kind of like bugly. So if you want to tear that open. So we have that. If you want to, I don't know what it is, but we're going to try it.
We'll give it a shot.
And then we'll each pick one. That'll be ours. So, all right. So here Ben is ripping open like a gorilla. So is it like a bugle?
It's like a bugle, but it tastes like kind of like a chicken flavor.
It's definitely like a bugle consistency.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste bad.
No, but you see what I mean though? It's kind of like tastes like chicken ramen almost.
Yeah, it does. Kind of like chicken ramen. Yes, yes, it does. Oh, cool.
Not bad.
So I found those, and I found a little more goodies than I usually find.
Shrimp crackers.
So I found shrimp crackers. I could read shrimp in English. Shrimp crackers.
I lost the cap.
No worries, dude. So shrimp crackers, and for those of you watching or listening, shrimp crackers. We have, once again, let's see, open here. Whew. That smell is overpowering.
Yeah, that's shrimp, all right.
Now you're not allergic to seafood, right?
Might be after these. This smells a bit rough.
No, the smell is a lot more damaging than the taste is.
Yeah.
It's like overpowering when you open that bag.
Yeah, maybe keep that one away from the table.
It smells rather potent.
Yeah, that one's a bit rough.
But it doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste bad. I also got this crispy fish chips, sweet and spicy flavor. I don't know. Product enlarged to show texture, so they're not really that big. And it says oven baked. So once again, guys, I just try to find random interesting snacks for us to kind of like, talk about, snack on when we. Oh, look, there's like a tray inside. So if you open it, there's like a tray on the inside.
Oh.
Leave it to the. Where is this made? It's actually California. It's actually California. Well, it's made in.
Well, makes sense.
So look, they actually have the crystals to like contain it. So we have that. So I'll put those away so we don't consume those. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right, so. Whoa. Those are very fishy.
Yeah, I've got a very. It's a potent flavor, I'll say that.
Man. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like they took the skin off a fish and they baked it.
You know what? You might be not far off from the truth.
That's what it tastes like, people. So fish chips. I don't know. Those aren't really.
I think these ones are going to be the standout winner tonight.
I think we'll stick with those, and I have one last one, but these should be pretty safe. This is. It looks like a cereal type. It looks friendly, but then again, you never know what's going to happen.
As long as it doesn't have a fish on the package, I think I'm done with those for the night.
Yeah, it actually looks like a cereal almost, like they have milk on the container.
Oh, it's chewy. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't expect that by looking at it.
No, but it's actually not bad at all.
It actually kind of tastes like Cracker Jack almost.
Yeah. All right, so those are the two winners for the evening.
Yeah, I think so.
You want these?
I'll just put it there in the middle, and
okay,
we'll munch on them as we go.
Okay, so cool. So those are our snacks. So if you guys want to have any poll on what snacks we should bring in next time, whether or not you want to see something funny, something different, if you have ideas, by all means, please let us know.
Yeah, I'm skeptical too. Skeptical of them too.
So today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, about in the world of Gundam, Ben has what do you have for us this evening? Starts off.
Well,
with?
we're gonna talk about weathering.
Okay.
And bringing some extra detail to your kits. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about Gundam itself.
Okay, perfect.
Mainly about the kind of things where if you're not into Gundam,
right.
And like I said, it's been going on for so long, it can be kind of intimidating as to where do you want to go if you want to start watching some of the shows. Mm-hmm. So I brought in 2 examples of things you might want to check out if you want to get into the series.
Cool. I'll switch cameras so they can see it over here. We're going to switch over to camera B. Fancy magic. Bam.
All right. So the first series I brought in to show you guys is Gundam Double O. The thing to keep in mind about Gundam is every few years they kind of restart the show. They'll do like an alternate universe, which is completely standalone from everything that's happened in the past, and it's just a few things from Gundam as a whole in an entirely new story. So the good thing about these shows, these alternate universe ones, is it's standalone. You don't need to watch 30 years worth of Gundam history to get into it. And it's usually set up to where it's introducing you slowly to some of the more complicated stuff about Gundam. So if it's something you think you might want to get into later, some of the other shows, these are good starting points. Gundam Double O is one of the more popular ones from fairly recently. And the cool thing about Gundam Double O is it's inspired by current geopolitical events.
At that particular time when it was released, or are you talking about the new episode?
In the late 2000s is when it came out. So it's
9/11's in there? Or is it more like...
it's actually the Middle East plays a very large portion in the story. The main
Okay.
character on this package here is actually Middle Eastern.
Really? Okay.
So it's
That's true. Like you can see him.
yeah,
He's in
you
the
can,
image, right?
yeah, you can see he's a little bit darker skinned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But and a lot of the characters come from backgrounds that are not typical of Gundam. Like there's a character in there who's like a former member of an Irish
Like
liber-
IRA.
like pretty much like the IRA. He's like an Irish Liberation Army type character.
Really?
And there's a guy that was a former child soldier that was experimented on, and then there's like an engineered human as part of the cast as well.
So it's a very dynamic
Yeah,
cast.
and the story itself is dealing with kind of like an offshoot of some of the modern politics. There's an energy crisis going on, and the main big nations have pretty much solved it by using solar power.
Okay.
But that's left a lot of smaller nations, like specifically in the Middle East and disenfranchised areas, kind of out to dry. And they're left to kind of rot. Like the countries have fallen behind. They're very poor. People are starving. And then you got these guys that come up using advanced weaponry, Gundams, that's way more advanced than anything else that the world has to offer. And they're just going out to try and correct the flaws they see in the world. I don't want to give away
So
too
they're like police. They're like policing the world, if you
they're
will.
they're literally terrorists in the first arc of the show
Okay.
because they're just fighting. They're fighting what is equivalent to America, Europe,
Okay.
China. In that world, they're fighting everyone, just anyone who's out there causing conflict.
Okay.
Their goal is just we're going to wipe out all conflict and bring everyone to the same level.
All right. So that was the first one. So on a score from, I'm thinking when Gundam start or when you start getting into Gundam, it can be intimidating. Especially when it comes to TV shows, you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So this Gundam Double O.
It comes in with no prior history behind it.
No prior
You don't
history,
need to know anything about Gundam.
Okay.
You don't even need to watch pretty much any anime at all.
Okay.
And this series is dubbed in English. It ran on TV a few years ago, actually, in America. And if you can't get the DVDs, because the DVDs can be harder to get nowadays,
Right.
most of these Gundam shows, especially the modern ones, are on the Gundam YouTube for free in multiple languages subtitled.
That's my next question I was going to ask you. So the place to find Gundam Double O could be YouTube.
It would be just Gundam Official on YouTube. Okay. Most of the shows I'm going to talk about are on there.
Okay.
And it's multi-language subtitles, so you don't need to, like deal with finding subs and stuff like that. It's all on there.
Okay. So if you guys can see, we'll zoom up. Just bring it real close to the camera, as close as we can get to that camera. So you guys see Gundam Double O. That's what the cover looks like. That's part one, I assume.
Yeah, there's
part one. How many parts are there?
There's 3 DVDs in this particular set
Right.
for the first arc of the show, but
Okay.
there's 2 seasons.
Okay.
And then there's a film. But if you just wanted to get into it, like I said, you can find it all on YouTube, and it's not like unofficial. It's official, and it's officially subbed, so there's no wonky subtitles or anything like that.
Cool.
But it's a very neat show. I do definitely recommend it if you've never seen one. This is a great one to start out on and get you into it. And then from here, you might get interested to see some of the older stuff as well.
Awesome. So that was his first choice. Silverback, I checked the mic. It is on, so I hope you guys can hear me. Alejandro asked a question. Is more generalistic. Are this games still on or just doing build night? Flynn's is actually closed on Monday evenings or closed on Mondays in general. So the games are not on. We're just here talking about Gundam this evening. Let's Talk Gundam with Uberscosplays Monday evenings at 7 p.m.
Yeah,
So
the guys
did you
on
have
my
any
Instagram.
questions? I saw you might have a question or two.
Well, they were
come
just
through.
going off of the specific channel. It's Gundam.info.
Okay,
on YouTube.
Gundam.info.
Yeah, but that's the official Gundam's YouTube channel.
Gundam.info.
Yeah, and all their modern shows, they're
Right.
usually running on there simultaneously as well because it's primarily a toy commercial. They want you to see the shows so you can buy the toys
Because they
Let's
own,
face it.
obviously, the rights to the television shows.
Right, and if you've got Crunchyroll as well, the current Gundam show running is Build Fighters Re-Rise, and that's on Crunchyroll as well. So
Okay.
if you got that already subscribed, and especially if you got some younger kids, maybe that might be a good one to show them as well.
Okay. So that you guys can start with Gundam Double O.
Double O, I think, is a great alternate universe starter. And I brought another one.
Okay, cool.
This
so
is
let's
from
switch
the-
over to the second camera.
Yeah, this is from the Core Line Gundam series, which
Let me
is
switch over so you guys can see what.
just colloquially referred to as the 1 Year War.
And for those of you listening, this is called what is it called again?
This is Mobile Suit Gundam, the 08th MS team.
So 08 MS team.
Yeah.
Okay, Gundam Mobile
And
Suit. Okay.
what
got it.
this is the original Gundam series from 1979 has a lot of stories that are continuing even now in modern shows, but they're always referencing this original show. So what this is one of the side stories. Basically, like as the main characters of the original show are running around doing their thing,
Okay.
this is like a little snippet of what was going on in Asia at that time on the
So
ground.
while the Middle East thing's going
No,
down?
no, no. This completely separate from Double O.
Oh,
This
okay,
is
okay.
the original. This is like an offshoot of the original 1979.
So
show.
like the original show's going on, this is an offshoot in Asia.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
this is
I
happening
got
at
it.
the same time as the original series with
Okay.
Amuro and Char and all those guys.
Okay.
So if you were more interested in getting into that show, but maybe like the 70s animation you don't really like because it
Right.
does look kind of bad nowadays, or maybe you just want something that like looks better, or maybe that's smaller because this show is only like 13 episodes long.
Right.
The original series is 43 episodes, so it can be sometimes it's a little bit intimidating to get into a longer show. So if you just want like a little snippet of what to get into with
little
Gundam,
taste.
like a little taste. I've heard this pitched a lot of times as Gundam meets MASH or Gundams in Vietnam.
Okay.
It's basically about a small team of ragtag soldiers in the Federation
Right.
in the jungles of Southeast Asia, just trying to make it out of the war.
Right.
It's not just about the combat. Combat obviously plays a big role in it,
Okay.
but it's also about the interpersonal relationships between the characters. Like one character who's driving like their support truck,
Right.
he wants to be a musician when the war is over, so he's constantly like singing and joking around where everyone else is trying to get through the mission.
So it's more than just a cartoon. There's like
It's-
actual
it's-
storyline.
There's actually the characters are the most interesting part of it. The robots are cool, but it's always, especially with the mainline Gundam series, the
Right.
ones involving the 1 Year War, it's
Right.
usually about the interpersonal drama.
Huh.
And like I say, it's very like Vietnam-esque because there's one guy who's been through a couple different teams, and he's the only one who's ever survived.
It's like super rough.
All of his other teammates have always gotten killed in battle,
Oh.
and so he joins the new squad, and
my
they're like,
gosh.
"Oh no, we're in trouble. This guy's, he's the Grim Reaper." And there's also like for some of the ladies that might be into Gundam, Gundam also has a large focus on love relationships.
Oh,
between the
interesting.
characters and
Okay.
stuff. So, without getting too much into the story, a big part of this story is the main character falls in love with an enemy pilot, and
I think I've seen the first episode of this.
you might have. It ran on TV.
They were like
if
in
you,
space, and
Yeah.
and they like
and they have to work together because she gets a tear in her
right,
suit.
and then the Char come out and like rescue her. Or the Zaku's
Yeah,
come out
one
and
guy
rescue
comes back
her.
and rescues her, and one of his guys.
Yeah,
and it's
okay,
just like,
so I have
they
seen
could
it.
start shooting at any moment.
I've seen that first episode.
Yeah.
One of the few episodes I've actually seen.
But very cool show to get into, and like I said, it's taking place alongside the original show.
Okay.
But it's so far removed that really it gives you little snippets of what's going on in the bigger scope of the war as the
Right.
story goes on. But it's pretty much standalone.
Okay. So you guys, Mobile Gundam Suit
Mobile Suit Gundam,
Mobile
the
Suit
08
Gundam.
MS team.
08 MS team.
And this is just 13 episodes.
Okay.
There was a compilation movie of a few episodes released in the middle called Miller's Report.
Okay.
But that's really not necessary. All you need is the original series. And this should be on Gundam Info as well, also subtitled. But there is an English dub out there floating around as well if you can find the DVDs.
Awesome. Awesome. So while Ben was telling us about this Mobile Suit Gundam, which you should definitely check out, Sean, appreciate the stars. Thank you so much. Stars, just so you guys know, stars are actually a way through Facebook to give donations. Stars
didn't know
turn to
that.
coinage in order to help with the donations for Flynn's. So we really appreciate the stars. Sean, a huge shout out for you, man. Gamer Gains, Gamers with Gains. Hey, man, it's been a while. We have some visitors on Twitch. Just so you guys know, we are streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So there's certain people that I'll be referencing that you may not see in your particular channel you're looking at, but they are there. So Gamers with Gains, really appreciate that. And yeah, Sean, once again, really appreciate the stars. But actually, before we jump further into any more shows or ideas, once again, guys, you guys can get this off of what was it, Gundam.info?
Gundam.info on YouTube will have these. You can still find the DVDs around, but like I said, most of this is free on the Gundam Info YouTube channel.
Okay.
Because it's an advertisement for the toys. They want you to get into the show.
They want you. Silverback Senpai, thank you so much for the 150 stars. Really, really, really appreciate that. Yeah, they want you to get in the star because think about it. That's like an ingenious promotion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when they started doing like a Ronald McDonald show to promote
Right.
McDonald's.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like you mentioned, a lot of times in the 80s, they would design the toys first, and then they'd figure out, what's the show going to be about to advertise them?
Like Street Sharks or whatever the case may be. But
Right.
cool. So we had one question from Sean
Sure.
on Facebook, Ben. He says, what beginner kit would you recommend?
Well, that might give us a good time to segue into
Okay.
the next one.
So guys, just so you can see him, actually I'll switch to camera 2 real quick so you guys can check it out if you want to go to that camera.
Right.
So these are the two particular Gundam. We have Gundam Double O here and Mobile Suit Gundam. right here as well. The covers of the DVDs, so you guys can kind of pick them out when you find the shows online. So
Right.
definitely recommend to you check them out. So awesome. So we'll segue. So Ben wanted to share with us those particular DVDs. Oh, but I had one question.
Sure.
With the DVDs though, we may have some parents watching, and I know in Gundam Suit at the end of the first episode, there's frontal nudity for a snippet, like a
there's
second.
nudity, but it's in Gundam. It's never dealt with like the way you might think of.
So
nudity.
if a parent has children watching this,
I would always just recommend you check the rating because it says on the
Okay.
show like this one's rated 13 and up.
but what about if they're streaming it like on YouTube and they can't really know what the rating is?
I believe the version they're showing on YouTube, like there's parental controls for that as well.
Okay, all right,
You know what I
perfect. I just want to. I know we have a lot of parents that watch, and I'd hate for the kids to.
It's Gundam official, so they're not going to put anything up that's going to get them in hot water.
Okay, all right.
And if there is, I guarantee there's some kind of warning beforehand. But
Okay.
even then, is like the kind of stuff like that shows up in Japanese animation is usually dealt with like so plainly.
Yeah.
It's not anything
Not
like that.
provocative.
In the scene he's talking about, it's just a girl taking a bath in the river, and the guy
Right.
happens to be going through the jungle and
Caesar.
sees her, and he's like, "Oh
and
no!"
it's like a snippet. It's like 2 seconds, but I just want to put it out there.
and then she pulls out a gun and shoots at him for
Yeah,
you know.
so we have some parents watching. We want to make sure that you guys obviously are aware. And if we have anybody
Right.
listening to this podcast and I'm gonna go find that scene, no,
It's a good thing you mentioned
know.
that because I don't think about that stuff sometimes, and I probably should. I've seen
just
so
wanna
much.
make sure
I've seen so much
everybody's-
anime. It's just kind of like, oh, it's just something that happens in anime.
yeah, we don't want to. Hey, Adam, what's going on? Thanks so much for liking the stream. We want to make sure that everybody is forewarned.
Right.
So, all right, cool. So weathering. Ben used a couple words that I want to make sure that are crystal clear to everybody out there in TV land, because when I started getting into Gundam, there were verbiage and words used that I didn't really know the meaning to until I asked you or asked someone. So what exactly does that mean? So weathering, how would you define weathering?
Well, weathering is there's a lot of different ways to look at it. As just an
So
example,
I'll switch to camera 2
Yeah.
for you, and here you go.
weathering is just the process of adding extra detail like dirt, grime, or battle damage to your model to give it a little more realism to it. It can range from simple things just like doing a little bit of pastels or maybe scraping up the armor to then doing more advanced things like doing special detailing with your airbrush and things like that.
Now, weathering, obviously, guys, can be, like Ben said, it can be on multiple levels.
Yeah.
It could be something as basic as adding a little bit of a alteration to color,
Mm-hmm.
or if you want to go and begin to, like you said, battle damage, scarring your
Right.
kit
And so here,
permanently.
so here I brought in an example today. Let me see if I can get that guy a better shot. This,
Well, you could also bring the camera closer if you want to get closer a little bit. You could probably get in for a little close. There you go. Perfect. Love it. Love
This is the Gundam local type. This is one of the suits from Gundam the Origin. The reason I brought this one as an example is because Flynn's actually has this one for sale. And this is a great little kit that my girlfriend actually picked me up. It's got a lot of options in it to where you can switch between different weapons or different like parts for the chest vents and things like that, just on your particular taste
is.
might be. Other cool thing too is it comes with a ton of marking stickers, so you can
Really?
really
For an HG kit?
a ton,
So all those stickers on that kit
all
right
the little
there
marks
are,
on this guy
are from the
stickers,
kit.
Are stickers that come with the kit. So if you want to
Okay.
switch back
yeah,
to camera,
for sure. Yeah, it is impressive, Adam.
let me see if I can get that. To
Yeah,
focus.
there
But
you
you
go.
can
I
see
would say
all
so.
like the little logos and markings and like the red lines on the armor. Those are all stickers that came with the kit. Now this is done up a little bit extra, like you say with weathering. This was done up with some little pastels and a Gundam marker
Right.
to add some sand and dirt around the feet
Hey, Terry.
and make him look like he had been through a little bit of action. And at the end of it, it was just hit with a can of clear coat to kind of bring down that color and bring down that shiny plasticness to make it look more like a war machine.
As opposed to a toy. And
As
guys,
opposed to a toy. And you can just see I'll put next to it the 30-minute mission kit.
right.
And you'll see what I mean just by the finish of the plastic. Same type of plastic and similar colors, but just the 30-minute mission kit, because it hasn't had anything done to it, is quite a bit more shinier, quite a bit more toy-like in comparison.
I have to agree
the
that
ground, to the Gundam.
there you go. I think that's a perfect angle. Perfect. Little low there. Perfect. You guys can see that the 30-minute mission, which is the bluer grayish color,
Yeah.
is shiny. It's reflective off the light. But then the Gundam local on the other side of it is a lot more muted because the clear coat matte paint or matte Did you use a shaker can
I used a regular rattle can for
or
that.
rattle can? So we're just when we're saying rattle can, we're meaning a spray paint can. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Literally, it's like a Krylon. You can use Krylon.
You can use Krylon. In this case, I used Testers, which is now owned by Rust-Oleum.
Okay.
And they sell little quarter-size cans at places like Hobby Lobby and
For
things
how
like
much?
that.
How much is the investment?
A couple dollars, maybe $5, $6.
And we'll have to do a later video, guys, on how to use those appropriately because I've learned hard ways that when you actually use the rattle cans, you need to make sure to spray in the appropriate motion so that you get an even
There's
coat,
a certain
light.
technique to it.
Yeah.
But it's a very simple, cheap thing you can do to add some extra detail to your kit. So when I talk about pastels and stuff for this guy, what I'm talking about in this case are Tamiya Weathering Master sets.
Tamiya Weathering Master sets.
I got a couple here. I've got one for sand and then one for grime and rust. What these are really good for, let me just put these up here.
I would push them up just a little further, closer to the robot, closer to the machine. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, what these are really good for is for adding that extra level of detail to your kit. You can see on the local type Gundam, especially around the feet, there's a lot of sand. I added a lot on the bottom of the shield, around the vents of the chest. And what that is just these little pastel. It's almost like it's basically just a makeup brush in pastel. If we got any women watching that have done like their eyeliner and stuff, they'll recognize this stuff right away. Because the brush is almost
genius, right? They got the palette. They're like, you know what? We're gonna sell this for model kits.
Yeah, the brush is almost exactly the same, and you can just use this to get a little bit of this pastel and rub it onto certain areas of the kit. Yeah, and like the guys in my chat are saying, pretty much customizing it is the sky's the limit. You can just go really light, like I did on this guy, which is just like a little bit of weathering, just like he's just been stomping through the sand a little bit, or you can go more extreme and add like a bunch of battle damage and things like that. Or you can go like it's an older suit, and that's where you could add like the rust, the orange rust from this other set. And there are tons of different sets. This is just set A and set C. These are probably the most common ones. But they also have ones for snow.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I've seen the one.
They have ones for like jungle, like where it'll be like greens and things like that. They have ones for like based on like NATO colors for planes. So it'll be like olive drabs and browns and things like that. But there's lots of different options. And if you didn't find a color you liked, pretty much any kind of art pastel you could grind up and do the same type of effect with.
Really?
Yeah. So you could go to an art store,
right,
and get like I say a particular color that you might not find in this or a particular shade, grind that up and use it almost the exact same way.
Yeah, you could actually press it.
Yeah. The real thing you're paying for the Tamiya is that it's already in certain colors that are very common.
And you can find that once again, guys, at Hobby Lobby, different hobby stores. I find that it's mostly by the tanks and the other vehicles that we have. You know, it'll usually be there. So if you're in a hobby store, if you're listening to this online, you're looking for a hobby store, you could actually just call up your local hobby store, and if they sell tanks or other war vehicles, usually I've seen that stuff or something similar to it.
Right. And the same thing is like I was saying with this guy. The reason I think this is a great starter too is because he comes with all those stickers and things. But the other great thing too is pretty much all Gundam kits come with some kind of sticker. But if you get into some of the bigger ones like the master grades, those come with dry transfer decals as well. Mm-hmm. So you don't even just have stickers, you have some really nice flat decals. And that I'll show you on this guy, the one I'm bringing in next. This is the Jim Sniper 2 master grade.
And once again, guys, I don't want people that have never tuned in before to feel left out. So when we're saying master grade, we're talking about...
Master grade is a slightly larger kit more detail. But not always necessarily a higher price point. This guy is, I think you got him selling for $24.
Right.
This guy, you can find him online most places for anywhere from the $30 to $40 range. But
is it an older kit?
No, this is a fairly new one, and this is a very posable one. That's why he can get down on his knee and look down the scope of his gun and everything. It's a very posable kit, and like I said, fairly new. But the good thing about these ones is they're a lot bigger, they're more posable, and they have a lot of extra detail and gimmicks and things. So the thing about
that is really highly posable.
Yeah, it's very, very posable on this guy. And he's even let me see if I can bring him back forward a little.
He's up close and personal with the camera. There we go. Oh, look at that pose.
But the cool thing about this one is you can see all the decals and stickers on them. Those are not stickers. Those are heat transfer decals. And what that is, it's a sheet of decals that come with most master grades.
Right.
And you put them on the kit, and you just kind of rub your finger to heat it up, and then it transfers onto the model. You don't need like a heat.
Kind of like what you use for your car.
Yeah,
Like when you do a
similar to
transfer for a
that,
car?
but similar to that, but smaller and higher detail.
No, of course, yeah, and much
Yeah.
smaller.
But like you can see like the logos on his shoulders
Yeah,
and
I
everything.
saw that when you were setting up. I was like, that's really impressive.
Yeah,
that
those are all dry transfer decals, especially like the numbers there on the knees. And
so you
things like
cut
that.
it out.
You'd cut it out,
And
and
you
then you
rub
could
it.
transfer it on there. And the good thing about those is they don't have like a raised edge like the stickers do.
Right.
So they tend to look better. And the only other thing I did to this kit to detail it up, I didn't do any weathering. I just did some panel lining. So that's like the Gundam markers, doing like the details on the legs and things like that.
Right.
And then I hit it with a clear coat, but this time I didn't hit it with a dull one. I hit it with a shiny coat.
Okay.
Because the idea with this one was he was just launched and he was supposed to be nice and shiny and new.
So
So
look at
that's
that master grade.
Master grade. And the only thing, like I said, added to this was just the panel lining and the clear coat can. And this looks pretty much as good as it does on the outside of the box. So you can do a lot with very little monetary investment.
100%.
Yeah.
And once again, master grade kits in comparison to a high grade kit, which high grade's not the
Yeah.
bottom, the lowest size because you got SD kits, but
Right.
with the time wise in terms of creation.
Time wise, this guy, 6-8 hours
6-8
tops
hours,
usually.
okay.
This guy, if you weren't going to paint him and everything, you could probably do him in an hour or less.
Okay, perfect. So I just want people to know the time commitment that they would have to have.
Yeah,
And then in order to do the panel lining,
Add maybe an extra night to it, if you wanted
Do it on a
to
separate
really go
evening.
all out with the stickers and everything. This guy took longer just because the sheer amount of stickers. He's got a lot by anyone's standards.
and just guys, once again, do what you're comfortable with. A lot of times with Gundam, I have found with Gundam that a lot of times with it, people will be so obsessed. Ben, you get into it, you will finish it. We do build nights here on Thursday starting at 8 o'clock, and I've heard him, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this and finish it at home. I'm like, dude, it's like midnight, like,
Yeah, I have a few problems.
You are committed to this. So once again, guys, we actually have a kit here at Flynn's, the one that he was referencing, the
Right.
local, right?
Yeah, this
the
is
local kit,
Gundam
which is,
ground type local.
exactly, which is that kit, how killer that looks. And then also on the side, if you want to show them the side of the box, because I wanted to give them a tip. I actually just found out about that when I started building.
I don't know if I can get the camera.
You could probably get it squeezed in. I just want you guys to see. So when you see a Gundam box, you can pop it up, you can take it up, and there you go. On the side of it, they'll actually show you like different attachments, different posability, different weapons it comes with. Because if you open that box up and just see the runners, which are the plastic pieces that everything's sitting on, you won't know what the heck it is, right? You
Right.
know?
And this one, it comes, like I said, there's different options. There's a way to mount the shield to where it's like just a half shield, like you can use it like a stabbing weapon. There's a way to mount it without the shoulder cannon. I did something that they didn't show you to do at all. I took a combination of the best parts of both because I liked having the machine gun, the arm cannon, and the cannon. I did all three, and you have the option to do that. And you could even, like I said, switch out the chest vents if you like the different look that they give you with those, or the different shield. He has one where instead of the shield, he has a sword mounted to his forearm. So it's just a matter of, this one is really great, I think, if you just want to
Hey, Jacob.
start with something and have like a lot of customizability right out of the box.
We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Jacob, thanks so much for liking the stream. Ben, I completely forgot. Senpai had actually added your social media stuff underneath it. I don't know if you saw that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So it's right there on the bottom of it. So if you're looking at the bottom of the screen, guys, of the stream, Uber Cosplay's information is right there as well for its Facebook and its Twitter, or Facebook and Instagram, so you guys can check that out. But, with Gundam, it's all about taking I find it's just enjoying it, taking as long or as short a time as you want,
Right.
and just, finding a kit that looks quote-unquote cool to you, if you will.
Right.
And just beating the heck out of it. The first kit I ever did was the RX-78, the one that you've seen in the case. It was just beat the heck out of it, because
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a Dremel to this thing and just
It came out good though.
It came out. I'm very thankful for those kind words from you. It came out good. Unfortunately, when I accidentally,
I'm not just saying
when
that.
I actually, one thing I learned is when you actually put a coat on top of it, because what I did with that was a gunk wash on it, or with the oils.
Right.
Well, what happened was I didn't know that you should actually tape off
The joints. You okay?
Yeah, my mic died. One thing, Senpai, I need a new mic. The one thing that the joint, I didn't dye it, I didn't tape it up, and it got and I accidentally sanded it, so it was like Like I have to be really careful because the arm's like super mobile, like super loose. So like it was too loose when it's supposed to be stiff.
That's one of the things you see me doing on build night is I sand every part.
Right.
That's because I'm usually building with the idea I'm going to paint it, and adding that paint on makes everything a little bit thicker. And by sanding it first, it keeps the joints from being too tight once the paint is cured and everything.
Exactly. So you know what? But the reason I did that, or tell the story, guys, is because hey, I thought it was a $14 kit. Might as well test the heck out of it and see what I can do with it. And yeah, I learned a lot from it. So anyways, continuing on, what else do you have for us?
You mentioned just like a cool kit that you like just for the design.
Let me switch over to camera 2.
Yeah, my girlfriend got me this one.
That is a really sick kit.
Yeah, this is
like
the
that
Gundam.
Is, you should zoom in a little bit. Get the camera a little closer. Or put
It's
the
really hard to get in here
Oh,
with
okay,
this.
no worries, dude. No worries.
Yeah, this is the Gundam Asteroth, which is from a side story of one of the more recent Gundam alternate universes.
Do you have one of those rotating tables at the house?
I was just mentioning that before.
I was thinking
before
about
we
that.
Came here, so I'm going to get something like that.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I'll get like a little electronic Lazy Susan so I can have these guys rotating around.
And put a light on top of it and everything like
right.
that. Well, you're the light. You don't have the light on.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
So let's see if we can turn the light on. Once again, if you're listening to this on the podcast, everything is in real life on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Be sure to check that out. Oh, it's on. I can see the reflective surface. There we go.
Is that better?
Yeah, better. Definitely. Yeah, dude. You can see all the detail now.
All right. So this is the Gundam Asteroth from Iron-Blooded Orphans. And this is one of the side stories, like one of the alternate universes. And at the time when I got this from her, I didn't know anything about Iron-Blooded Orphans. I was a bit behind on it. But
Shame on you.
I just loved it because I think it's really cool to have an asymmetrical design.
I love it, man.
Has the heavier armor on one side versus the other, and it kind of looks like a scrappy kind of junkyard Gundam.
So it came like that?
It came like this, but I've done a lot of customization. I was going to say,
you added the wires.
I've added wires to the arm. Like the idea is like the giant gauntlet is like hydraulically controlled. So he's got these pipes coming off the side of it.
Which, I don't know, tactically, would that actually be practical? Because you could just cut those and you lose the ability to move.
Well, I mean, how practical is a giant robot to begin with? So it's not about practical. It's about it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. I agree. That's more of the logical side of me. So, yes,
it looks bring it in a little bit closer so you can kind of see.
It looks killer, guys. Look at that. Look at the detail.
Like the energy cables
just
coming in.
Just by adding those 3 energy cables, and I see you used opposing colors, blue, red, and green, right? Or black, red, and green?
Yeah, black, red, and green.
Black, red, and green, a ground. All DC. You actually did it correctly. Like you did a ground. You actually did it the way it should be. We see it in arcade machines quite a bit. So
yeah,
that's
I
how
imagine.
I know.
But I also did a custom. I also did a custom paint scheme on them. When this came out of the box, it's just white, blue, and a little bit of purple. So I turned it to. Someone told me later I ended up unintentionally picking the Lakers colors, but that's what it's
that's
purple.
Killer, bro.
It's purple, orange, and white, and it looks good. I think in those colors. But
it looks great. I thought the kit was originally that color scheme.
No,
I
this
don't
is
know
all
enough about the show.
This is just a custom paint, and it's heavily weathered. There's a lot of airbrush weathering on here as well, but all like the silver around the edge is done with those pastel kits. Same thing on the blade. I don't know if you can see the blade there. The blade's all heavily scuffed up and chipped. I did that with a file. Well, I'll show you later on. But that was all the silver was added with those pastels just to give it a bit of extra earthen color to it, like he'd been through hell and back. But it's a very cool kit. I like it quite a bit. Comes with some neat accessories too. I really especially like the giant killer blade he comes with.
This is the one. Oh, okay, that's what I was gonna say. I've seen that before in a couple other kits.
Yeah, you gotta love it just for the giant sword. I mean, the sword's
the reach. The
sword is bigger than the suit.
Oh my gosh, the reach. You could just swing it around in a circle and just destroy your enemies.
How can you not love it? That's why he's got to have that big gauntlet just to carry that.
Does the little knife go on his bottom of his foot?
The little knife, it stores on the back of his...
okay. But you've seen the kits where it's like on the bottom of the foot.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of ones where they got like knives stored in the feet, hidden somewhere and stuff like that. But yeah, very cool kit.
Very cool kit.
But
and what's the name again, just in case anyone's
This one is the Gundam Asteroth from Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Okay.
But like I said, that's a perfect case of I didn't know anything about the show. I was really behind. I've gotten into it now.
Okay.
But just the kit was so cool. I'm like, I haven't even seen the show, but that's a cool looking kit. I want to get that. And this guy doesn't even actually appear in the show. He appears in like one of the side story mangas.
He doesn't even appear in the show.
So I got into the show and like, where's the Asteroth? And he's not even in here.
Well, that happens a lot of times with Gundam. I was talking to my tattoo artist today, and she's from Japan, and I was talking to her about the animation and the side stories, and sometimes like a very minor character that
Right.
makes one appearance will become legendary. There will be a lot of things produced after it, just because
This guy I mentioned is one of those.
really cool. Really.
Yeah, he shows up in the show. You see him jump off the ship and then immediately explodes. They don't do anything except die.
Could you imagine? Like, did they ever explain the cost of a Gundam suit in
They're
the show?
expensive.
Like, what would you put the price point on? Did they ever reference it in the show?
Wait till you think about like a tank or a jet is
like
like
millions.
millions.
Like 5
and,
million.
And these things are way bigger than that. It's like
Probably 20 million.
way more than that.
Like
You're
100
talking
million?
hundreds of
Hundreds
millions.
of millions.
Probably 500
Okay,
million.
so $500 million.
Yeah, and there's 8 of them, and they just get junked immediately.
Okay. Well, in the future, money must not be a problem, or it must be like a Star Trek universe when they work for the betterment of mankind. Like,
I think it's just I think it keeps a lot of people employed in the Gundam universe, just working for these companies that build this stuff.
yeah, because stuff's always being exploding. So they have to make use of it. But we had a question here. Sean said,
Yeah, sure.
Nail polish on the joints? Question mark.
Yeah, you talked about how you had a loose joint
Yeah,
on
it
your
was
suit earlier.
super loose.
A trick a lot of people do is they'll add either super glue or nail polish to that ball socket and let that dry, and then that tightens up the joint a little bit because it gives a little bit of extra grip.
Awesome.
Nail polish, like he says, is a good option. Super glue also works. You just got to make sure you don't let it cure inside the joint.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Don't put super glue on it and shove it back in.
No,
'cause it
like
will.
you rub it on the outside of the
And let it
ball
dry,
into the
let it hang
socket,
dry.
and then let it dry. Yeah,
Killer. Awesome. There you go.
very
Pledge,
important to do on a
repeat.
lot of older kits too, because the poly caps, the little rubber pieces,
Yeah.
they wear out over time. You know what I mean? So just having it
that's
sitting
true.
on a shelf, you might pick it up, and some parts might start to get loose over the years.
Pop off.
Yeah, or pop off.
We have someone on Twitch.
Yeah.
Brogami.
Brogami, Pledge
Pledge
Revive.
Revive. It works.
Yeah, Pledge is a floor polish.
Right.
I use it on a lot of kits for the clear coat.
Okay.
That works as well for tightening up a ball joint.
Okay, perfect. Once again, guys, if you are breathing toxic fumes, please make sure you're doing it in a well-ventilated area.
Right.
Or outside. There's a reason why they have those huge vacuum air systems. So
Oh, yeah.
definitely important to do. So we have another kit. Well, you had one more. I don't think you showed anybody the
I
the
don't think I showed
Zaku.
anyone the Zaku.
So moving on.
Let me move these guys out of the way so we can get a better view with the camera.
Awesome. Zaku has to be the Zaku and the RX.
Yeah,
are
the
probably
Zaku
my favorites.
Zaku is probably in a lot of ways more iconic than the Gundam itself. It's the run-of-the-mill grunt suit
Right.
in the original series, but it's shown up in a lot of other Gundam shows as well. It's just they'll call it like something a little bit different. But this was the first kit where I did a lot of weathering on. So same things as before, a lot of pastels, but this one has a lot of battle damage as well. Like if you'll see the shield there, he's got some bullet holes in the shield that I added in with a Dremel and added some scorch marks with those pastels and an airbrush around it just to kind of give it a little, like he's been through some stuff. If you look at the end of his axe as well. Sorry, let that focus.
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 There you
Well,
go.
you get the idea. I'm not gonna, I don't want to waste too much time.
No,
messing
it's
with the
really,
camera.
it's really, it's realistic. Ben, when you were doing, maybe not on that one, but on some of them, we started talking about it. One point that really stuck with me when I get the chance to weather kits is that think about it in relationship to real life, if you want to.
Right.
Like how far up the leg.
Right,
would the
because you
Gundam-
got to
would the
keep in
damage
mind.
really go.
You got to keep in mind these guys are like 30 meters tall. So when he's running through the desert and the dirt and things like that, the sand, and the mud is not going to end up too high on the suit, since
Right.
really the feet are going to be collecting the majority of it. Whereas higher up on the body, like he might have a lot of scrapes and stuff from either combat or running into things like trees
Or buildings.
or buildings, that kind of thing. So there might be more scrapes higher up and that kind of thing. And on this guy, you'll notice like in the back, like there's black scorches coming out from where those boosters are.
Oh, even on the tail? Yeah.
Just on the tail.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you'll see there's
yeah, I
black
see it.
scorch marks coming down because the engines ignite and it would scorch the outside of the armor. And same thing if you look at the bottom of the feet, a lot of sand and dirt. But as you go higher up, less and less of it. But the damage remains consistent because he's still been running around getting beat up in battle and things like that. Now it's always up to your personal preference. Like what's it look like in your head? Like you might have a unit that is fighting in space.
Right.
If he's fighting in space, he's not going to encounter a lot of dirt and things like that. But he might run into like asteroids and things. So he might have dents in him. paint scrapes, that kind of thing, but not necessarily dirt.
Like more like serious gouges in his
Right.
armor
Or
because he
you
got
might
hit by a meteorite or something.
right, or you might have like a suit that was in the rain, so you could put the weathering on and then streak it down with like a sandpaper to make it actually look like the rain was washing away some of the dirt he had gotten on it. It's just a matter of, like I said, what are you going for in the look? I've done some that are way more damaged than this, like almost to the point of like just being comical. Like there's no way he would still be
No,
moving with all that damage.
yeah. Like arms off.
But yeah, basically. But it's just a matter of I wanted to push and see what I could do with it. This is a little more subdued, like something you might see in like a diorama.
And this is a master grade kit.
And this is a master grade. This is a Zaku 2.0. It's a very, very good model kit, very posable, and very expressive. Like he's got like he's a very good representation of the Zaku from the show. Pretty much like a perfect representation of the Zaku. I don't think they've done better than this guy yet.
And once again, guys, it could take you, one evening, a handful of hours to put it together.
This one took about a week.
Okay, a week.
I did like a lot of airbrushing on this guy, and I didn't
okay.
not all in one. Obviously not back to back, but I was doing like a little bit every other night.
But to put it together, like 2 evenings, an evening?
To put it together and like clean it up and sand it, let's say like 2 evenings. Because I was also doing, like I said, the battle damage and things like that. Dang. And when I mentioned the battle damage too, a lot of time when I'm using are just simple things like these. This is a set of regular hobby files you might find in like a hobby store.
I didn't even think Harbor Freight has them.
Harbor Freight has them too. Like they're used in like people use them in wood modeling as well. Traditional modeling tanks and that kind of thing. But these are really good for adding battle damage and things like that. If you wanted to go crazy, you can get like a Dremel, but really not necessary. You can do anything a Dremel can do with these. It'll just take you a little more time. And it's also worth thinking about like the kind of damage the suit is going to take. Like in the show, there's ballistic weapons, machine guns, bombs, that kinds of things. And there's also beam weaponry, like lasers. These are machine gun hits on his shield. And when a shell hits something in real life, it impacts, explodes, and penetrates. Right. Ideally. Whereas a beam weapon hits and it doesn't penetrate, it melts. It goes right through it. Oh. So you might want to use something like a heat rod or like a soldering tool to simulate beam weapon damage, because it's not just penetrating the armor, it's melting it. In this case, no examples of that because it was just a machine gun fire on him. But that's something to think about. Like you might want to do, like if it's say like it's an axe hitting the shield.
It'd be like a slash.
Like an axe, like it's like hit
the
shield.
Aren't their axes heated in the front?
Yeah, in this they're heated, so it would like melt some of the armor. So that might be something you'd want to do. But if it was just like a ballistic weapon that hit him, it doesn't give that kind of melting. That's why you see on the detailing, there's no melt. It's just scraped away paint, and you can see the armor underneath. The idea being that it's penetrating the armor.
And I've actually thought of doing it where you have a Zaku versus an RX, and then like the axe from the Zaku is like in the middle of the chest, like where you actually cut.
Yeah, like he was going for the cockpit.
Yeah, and it's cut, and it's actually lodged in his chest. It's stuck there,
Yeah, because the weapon would get stuck in there if it
was deep enough, know, and obviously it's heated, so maybe as it was going deeper, it was cooling. I don't know. Like I was thinking, like it's cooling down or whatever, got stuck inside the actual.
There was a cool sequence in one of the mangas, the side stories, where they're fighting, and they end up getting tossed into a river. Right. And one of these guys, like a Zaku, is coming at him with an axe, and he hits him, and it almost cuts through the shield, but stops short because the water had cooled it down enough, and he was able to get the upper hand on him.
So he had the shield blocking it?
Yeah, the shield blocking it, and you see it melting through, and it stops just short because the water has cooled it down enough for him to get the upper hand.
There you go. See, guys,
stuff like that happens in the show all the time.
And once again, like I think on this one, on the Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team, was in the. Was this in the desert or in the?
It takes place in the desert, like for a few episodes.
Was it jungle also?
Yeah, but it's primarily in the jungles of Southeast Asia.
So I remember being referenced, guys, on the to watch this one to get inspiration.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people, sometimes I've heard people watch Gundam to get the inspiration for their model kits as opposed to watching it just for the enjoyment of it as well.
These are good examples, too, of different ways to approach modeling. Gundam Double O, they're hero robots. They really don't ever get hurt unless the story demands that they do. Right. For whatever reason. Right. Obviously, there's other stuff that happens in the story, but that's just the general. This, like I say, it's Gundams in Vietnam. The Gundams are just tanks.
Okay.
They're just machines.
Yeah.
When they say eighth team, that means there's a sixth, a seventh, two, one. There's
Right.
all these other teams running around with the same machines. They're nothing special.
Okay.
So when one of them gets wrecked and broke down, you see the guys, they have to go out and get tools and repair the suit and clean out dust filters and things like that when they're
Right.
fighting in the sand. So it's dealt with much more realistically, and you see the suits. You see ones like cobbled together that have been put together with leftover parts because they're in the middle of a battle. They have to just get this
Right.
thing working.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah. So very, like you say, very good inspiration if you're looking for a show like where, oh, what would these things look like when they got all messed up? You know, how would they look after they had been through a couple battles? Good series for that.
And then the other thing sitting behind you, the tank.
Yeah, this was one I finished
Switch over to
recently.
that camera.
Oh, this one's a big boy. Not ex- let me see.
You could probably even lift the camera up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I'm going to have to because this thing's too big to fit in the frame.
There you go.
There we go. This is a little bit different from Gundam modeling, but this is a lot of weathering I had done. Let me turn my own camera over here too. Yeah. This is the 112 Max Factory Panzer IV. This is the D type. It's based on an actual World War II tank, German tank, but it's from the anime Girls und Panzer. And for those not familiar, it's basically like an after-school sports anime. Just instead of playing volleyball or baseball, they do mock combat with tanks. It's kind of a weird concept, but I did a lot of weathering on this. You can see there's a lot of sand and dirt and grime added, all with those all with those same pastels. And you also see the size of this thing. This thing is gigantic.
And you actually did a lot more to it than.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff added to this. This is a Max Factory. It's sold as a model kit, but there's not really much model kit to it. All the extra gear on the outside, the fire extinguisher was added, but the kit as it comes has a basic motorized function in it.
Right.
Where you just turn it on, you hit a switch, it'll go forward or backward. I added in a little bit of something extra with some motors and another RC tank that I bought to cannibalize for parts. So let me turn this sucker on. See if I can reach there. First thing you'll see is those headlights come on. All right, well, let's start it up.
So. And he just took a regular RC motor. Or what
yeah, I took another RC tank, like a very cheap one, and I took all the guts out of it and cut it into this guy. Normally, none of this stuff, it did any of this stuff that it's going to do. First thing is, starts up the motor.
Oh, the girl's in the way.
Oh, right. Get the little crew member out of the way. I lost another one.
So it actually fires back. For those of you listening, it actually fires back.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of modifications went into this one. So let me take out the rest of the crew so I don't keep knocking people off here.
Dang. And once again, this is taking model building to the next level.
This is shaking the whole table.
Yeah, this is the upteenth level. This is taking things very far. Well, not far enough. You know, how far is too far? You know.
No, it's as much as you want. Let me turn this guy off.
I would expect it to be able to hover off the ground sooner than later. And so you pretty much took two kits and chopped them, or destroyed the other one, or gutted the other one.
Yeah. So the guys in the guys in my chat are asking too, like what frequency and everything I had on. It's 2.4 gigahertz, which is a very common frequency for these controllers. This specifically came from a 1/16 scale Abrams tank. You were able to get this on Amazon for like $30. But the motors came in the tank because, like I said, it was already designed to go forward and backward.
Right.
It just couldn't turn. The turret couldn't turn and everything like that. There weren't even the setup for that. The turret, I cut all the motors from the other tank into that. And the wiring that went to the original Abrams tank motors, I just cut into these ones. So it's still the original motors.
Okay.
The sound is based on the same Abrams sound, so the sound is not exactly, accurate to this tank, but it works really well for what it is, I think.
Dude, and how much time do you say you have into that?
The kit itself, like I said, there's not much to build. The extra gear on the outside probably took me about 2 nights. The weathering and the painting took about a week. Because
Okay.
this is not just the pastels, this is also pre-shading with an airbrush. Underneath. So it kind of gives it like that multi-dimensional look.
And then of course the
Yeah,
characters were from the show, right?
the characters the crew I have all from the show, so they all fit in.
bashing or bashing. What do they call it?
Yeah, like originally, none of this gear on the outside I had,
Right.
so I had made my own. I took
Okay.
like the body of a pen,
Right.
like an inkwell pen, and made a fire extinguisher out of that. I took like a lot of wooden dowels to make like the various wire cutters and the wrenches and the axe and everything on the outside of the tank. So it was just that little bit more I could do to add extra detail. And I actually have two of these. I have another one, but it's the H type with the side skirting armor and things like that.
Right.
But this is just the one from the early part of the show, the D type.
And then we also had Sean said it is called kit bashing. Bro Gamma said I hope they make another run of the Marcos one
Mark
120 kits.
Marcosius?
Marcosius
I can't see.
Maro.
Oh, Macross 120
Macross
kits.
120 kits.
Yeah, those ones are also by Max Factory. Those are the transforming plane kits.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw the show Robotech back in the day.
Yes, I have seen Robotech back in the day.
Yes, this Macross is the show that's based on. But those are some really nice big detail kits. I don't think they transform,
Right.
but they're in like the one mode, but
Okay.
they're super detailed
Okay.
kits. If you're into like a military modeling, but still into anime, those are very cool things to check out.
Very cool.
But yeah, these Max Factory kits are something else. These resell for a lot too. I don't think you can find the base kit for under $300 now.
Whew.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big investment.
they're pricey. Yep.
So this evening, guys, I know we try to keep this right around an hour. And once again, we kind of wanted to give you like an overview of weathering. Next week, we'll probably go into a little bit more detail
I guess we ran a little bit longer
of
than we thought.
specifics. Yeah, we always try to keep it around an hour just for everybody's sanity. We'll go into specifics of, maybe working on the 30-minute mission that we did last week. Working on that one, begin to build that kit up. We have the kit right here. This one on camera 2. So work on this 30-minute mission, kind of go through the process, maybe even bring in some of the rattle cans or bring in
Maybe the airbrush.
Yeah,
Maybe we could do some custom colors or something.
exactly. Like start off and kind of just, walk you through the process of walk you through the process of what it would take to bring this to that next level if you chose to do so. But once again, you could leave the Gundam kit completely basic at the 30-minute mission level.
Right, and like I said, this is the same like type of kit and everything.
Right.
Obviously bigger, more complicated, but nothing extra done to this except a clear coat and some pen work. So very little investment to get it looking very good. Same thing here. Similar price point to the 30-minute missions, a little more complicated, but lots of stickers, lots of cool detail and
it is a very cool
customizable
kit.
options. And just like I said, a little bit of clear coat makes it look so much better. And as you get more into the hobby, you can grow and do things like custom colors and custom additions like I did with the Asteroth and those cables, or get into doing more intense battle damage like with the Zaku and his busted up shield and things like that.
And with simple tools, guy, if you just want to hit the camera 2 for
Sure.
last time, Ben, just to
the-
show them some things that were in final and closing what we actually covered.
Right. So for the battle damage, a good thing to use is these hobby files. You can get these at hobby stores. You can get them at Harbor Freight. Various sizes and shapes for the different kinds of things you might want to do for doing scrapes and battle damage, that kind of
Battle
thing.
damage.
Gundam markers.
Sean, thank you so much for the star.
Brought these up in earlier videos, but the Gundam pens. These are the specific Bandai branded Gundam pens. These are the Sakura Micron ones I mentioned. You can get these at hobby stores like Michael's and Joann's. These are really good for doing panel lining as well. And the pastel sets for doing like the mud and the grime and the rust and things. You can get these at Hobby Lobby and various hobby stores as well. Very, very. And if you have like a specific color you want, maybe something that's not in one of these sets, a regular pastel set that you could get at a art store would do you just fine as well for these.
And then also, I would just want to mention the episodes so if everybody's tuning in late,
Right.
if they
For
wanted to
anyone that's
catch
showing
those,
up late,
those DVDs.
I brought in 2 DVDs. They might be good picks for you if
Hey,
you're
what's up?
if you're getting into the series.
Misfit.
Gundam Double O is a standalone series. It's not related to other Gundam media. So if the idea of 30 years worth of Gundam history is intimidating to you, a very good show to start on. Inspired by current modern day geopolitical events. So if you're into like stories with like a lot of politics and backstabbing and intrigue and things like that, very good story, very cool characters. Like I said, very diverse cast. Like I said, main character Middle Eastern, so very relevant to the world we're living in today.
Exactly.
And if you're more interested in getting into some of the older Gundam series, like specifically like the main line, the 1 Year War stuff, the one that's been going on since the 70s, and you don't know where to start, Gundam 08th MS Team is a great place to start. It's happening alongside the original show, but you don't miss anything by starting here, and it does a good job of introducing you to the general setting of who's the good guys, who's the bad guys. And it's really good too, like Ed was saying, if you're looking for inspiration for doing model kits, because they're not treated like super machines in this. They're just basically bipedal tanks. They're nothing special. They get wrecked. They get beat up. They get modified all the time, just as the battlefield demands.
Cool. So we have, but those are just two. Just get yourself started, your feet wet. I know, like Akamis Fit said, I need to get back into Gundam. I was thinking about checking out Seed. Guys, a lot of times it'll always be there waiting for you. There's always something you could tune into, something you can find.
And we mentioned too is you don't have to like go out of your way to find a lot of this.
No, you don't.
Current show, Build Fighters Re-Rise is running on Crunchyroll, so if you have a subscription to there, you can keep up with the show. If you want to see some of the older shows, Gundam Info on YouTube has pretty much most of the big line shows there in multiple languages. They have it in English,
right,
Taiwanese, bunch of different languages. They want you to see the stuff. They want you to get out there and say, hey, check out what all these cool robots are from. You know what I mean?
Very cool.
Introduce you to some of those designs in here that you maybe not have known, and now you want to get the kits.
And guys,
like this guy that shows up for 5 seconds,
exactly, and it blows up, or like kits that are in a manga, but they're not in. Or
in this
the
guy.
Actual, this
guy is so cool. It's a shame he's not in the show.
Yeah, But hey, hopefully they will. But once again, guys, if you have questions and comments, even in closing, if you're listening to this in one of our streaming services or you're watching in real life, you have questions or comments, you can by all means reach out to. You're very welcome, Akamis Fit. You can reach out to Ben directly. His information is below on the stream.
Right.
Just in case you're listening to this, Ben, why don't you just tell the people what the name is, how they can find you.
You can find me on pretty much all social media as Uberscosplay. That's UBERS Cosplay, all one word. I'm on primarily Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, but I'm also on Twitter and other ones like that. So if you look around, chances are I'm on it.
And also, guys, don't be afraid to stop by on Thursday, starting at 8 p.m. Usually 9 times out of 10, Ben is here. I'm here pretty much every Thursday. We just kind of come together. We have other builders, great builders besides Ben and myself, that come out that have, everybody has a different take, a different spin. Mm-hmm. Come out on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock to Flynn's Arcade in Margate. We also have the Gundam kits here too, that Ben pretty much cherry picks and hand picks himself. I believe the 2 kits coming in right now. Well, we have 2 new kits, or not new, but coming back.
Right, we have the Nobel Gundam,
and then Evelon, or what is it?
Evangelion Unit 1. That's that's the recent real grade, a really nice
the
kit.
Purple and green one.
Yeah, like the monstrous looking ones from
exactly.
the
Super posable, and
posable, super detailed, and the Nobel Gundam, which is basically the Sailor Moon Gundam, obviously very popular with the girl builders.
Super popular. So we have those 2 kits coming in hopefully this week. We've already put the order in for those. We've only ordered a handful of each because of the mere fact that that's what they had access to the inventory. So that's what we did to get that started. But yeah, guys, we really appreciate you checking out the stream. Before we go, I just want to shout out a couple people because of the mere fact that I know it's really hard sometimes to gain followers or gain even people checking out the reviews that you're doing. Because we're an arcade, we have a lot of people that are doing reviews of games. So the first one is I want to just kind of give a thank you to Swordback Senpai for all his help he always gives us with the streams. He did a great review on Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima. Tushima. He did a great review. Go over to his Instagram, the Silverback Senpai, or his YouTube. Once again, really great to check out. As well, Jake James Lugo. That's Jake, Jake, James, James, Lugo, Lugo. Jake, I hope I'm not butchering your last name. He just did a great review also on Final Fantasy and the whole world within itself. So if you can, go over to his Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Check out his. So that was Silverback Senpai and Jake James Lugo. You know, if it's not for the community, guys, we really wouldn't be anywhere. So we're super thankful that you tuned in, whether or not you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. Had a brain fart there for a second. We really appreciate you. We also have a Discord. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. We have a Discord in this description where Ben is there, I'm there, a bunch of people are there in a Gundam channel, and we have a bunch of other channels as well. And last but surely not least, be sure to join us on the 29th here at Flynn's, August 29th on Saturday from 2 to 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. for our family fun day and back to school bash, because of the mere fact that, well, we want to do something for the families and the students and all that good stuff. So come out, join us, popcorn and cotton candy and giveaways and all that really cool stuff. So that's August 29th here at Flynn's, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Doing special pricing for everybody that's showing up. Cosplayers are more than welcome. We'll be doing boba tea, music, movies, video games, arcade games, and a ton of lot more. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Ben, is there anything you want to say in closing?
No, I think you pretty much covered everything.
Okay, awesome.
Come on out to build night.
Come out to build night, Thursday night, 8 o'clock. Oh, I forgot to mention. I completely forgot to mention.
What's that?
So one of our builders, the Miami Gunpla Club,
Right.
is actually going to be bringing, I think this week, a kit that we're going to be giving away.
Ooh,
So we're going to start kind of peppering in these giveaways at the build nights. And then also, we're kind of in talks right now to actually create like a Flynn's Gundam Club.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Where with your contribution of whatever, 20 bucks, whatever it is, we'll have t-shirts made. You'll have access to ordering alongside of us.
Right.
You know, you'll have, a kit every month specifically for you being part of the group. So it's an idea we're kind of fleshing out here at Flynn's. Hopefully it comes to fruition. But once again, it's kind of like in its infancy stage. So we'll see where that goes.
Sounds cool, though.
Awesome. Well, guys, really appreciate you. Hope you have